Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and check out this beautiful card I have. Do you like the way it shimmers? I do too. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it because it's just so pretty and it's so easy. That's the best part. So let's get started. Now I did start with a different card altogether, and let me show you. But wait, there's something really exciting I have to share with you. So I've been shooting videos for a year and maybe 2-3 months. And today I had something really cool happen. I got fan mail. So, Tracy, if you're watching this, check out this card she sent. I was so excited. Fan mail means that's super cool, right? So I really appreciate the card, Tracy, and it was so sweet of you to think of me on Mother's Day. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you just totally made my day. All right, back to my video. I had to show you that actually this card started out totally different. And of course, I had it literally. I mean, this happens every time. I know you guys probably think this is ridiculous, but every time I start a video, I have everything set out, ready to go, so I can show you all the little things that I did and why I did them. And then, of course, I lose my pieces. Here we go. So this was actually my first version of this, and I stamped and embossed this in clear ink on watercolor paper. And I liked the look of it, but it just wasn't as intense as I was hoping for. I wanted something a little bit more bold because, as you can see, I wanted to layer it up on some bright colors. And this just, I just didn't like the look that this card gave. It just wasn't pretty enough, I guess. So maybe I'll mess around with this and come up with something, but I changed my mind and instead went with stamping this on Whisper White cardstock using black archival ink. Now, before you point your fingers and shake your head at me and tell me you're not supposed to stamp on Whisper White cardstock when you are watercoloring, you're right, but I knew this was never ever going to stamp well on watercolor paper because watercolor paper is a little textury. Okay, so here's watercolor paper. Can you see the bumps in there? It is bumpy. Bumpy paper does not stamp well when you have such an intricate design. So let me show you what I did instead. Again, I'm using archival black, and you want to make sure that your ink pad is not dry when you are inking up such a big stamp that is so intricate. So here is my swallowtail. This stamp is on the retiring list, so I'm kind of disappointed about that because I do like it. I actually haven't used it in a while because I had it sort of tucked away in a weird spot in my office, and so I didn't see it, and if I didn't see it, I didn't use it, and you know how that goes. So anyway, I'm inking this up really good. And then I'm going to stamp it down on my cardstock, kind of at an angle. And this is one of those stamps you really got to get into. I mean, you take it to town. Put your back into it. I'm stamping it really well. I apologize for the noises. But what I'm trying to show you is that you really want to stamp it down. I'm sorry, I'm making myself giggle. So I have to tell you, I had to wait to shoot my video until the voice was on. See? It looks so good. Except for this big fuzz that was right there, which you can kind of see, but that's okay. Because we're going to watercolor it, and after we put a little Wink of Stella on there, no one's going to notice. Okay, so now the other thing is, so I inked my stamp up really, really well, as you saw. And so that means my ink is still kind of wet. So before I start watercoloring, I'm going to dry it with my heat gun. You can see I already smudged a little right there, but if you don't say anything, I won't either. Okay, so that just ensures... Sorry, I had to stick that back where it goes. That just ensures that when I go to start watercoloring on here, I'm not going to have problems. Okay, so to watercolor, I chose 3 really pretty colors. Wild Wasabi, Island Indigo, and Night of Navy. So I'm kind of on this kick where I use colors that I don't normally use. And while I have used navy a little bit lately, I thought these three together are definitely ones that I haven't used together in a long time. So I thought this would be perfect. Okay, and can I just say that I'm mostly ink free, which is a pretty big change from the last week for me. I've been covered in ink after that masking tape technique that I did last Friday. So if you haven't checked it out, go back on my blog. But so back to The Voice for just a second. I'm not a huge fan of The Voice. I like the show a lot, but I often don't get to watch it because I have classes held during the time that it's on TV or kids' activities. So I don't keep up on it really very well. But I totally got sucked into the previews where they were talking about Blake and Gwen singing a song together that they wrote or whatever, and I was like, well, I gotta see that because I think they're super cute, and they were super cute singing to each other. It was really adorable. But I had to admit that I was sitting there thinking that Miranda Lambert can't really be super excited about that. But anyway, do you like how I had to dish on my little Hollywood whatever? I figure Blake and Gwen are way better to talk about than any of the Kardashians, so there you go. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so I started with my Wild Wasabi in the center, and then I'm going to move out to the next darkest color, and then finally the darkest color. And my next darkest is Island Indigo, and whenever I pick up the ink, I really want to go on these more shaded areas, and then as the ink is starting to get lighter, I'll kind of move things out. And then, of course, I can always add more ink, but when I'm watercoloring on this Whisper White, which I never do, I want to make sure that I'm going over it the least number of times as possible. Okay, so I kind of just washed the color all over, and then I'm going to come back and add some darker shading where those dark lines are on the stamp, because those shading lines are included for your reference of coloring. And you can see I'm just going a little darker in those particular spots, and I think it just makes it look really nice. And again, I'll just put a little more color on those, and I think it'll look good. Okay, now I'm going to keep doing that, but I'm going to stop yapping so that I can speed up the recording for you and you can see the whole thing, because I know you like watching the whole thing, so you can see how I did it. Okay, so I'm done with the coloring. I think it looks pretty good. I did do a little slobbery here and here, so my bad. But to fix that a little bit, what I'm kind of doing is just putting a little halo around the edges, and then you won't notice that it was a mistake, or at least that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Hopefully you will agree. So I like the look though, regardless. Now, another thing I do oftentimes when I do have a little problem like that is that's when I get out my marker and do some spritzing. So oops, sorry, that actually was my boob. Okay, it was in the way because camera jiggling, trying to grab my marker, which is right above where my camera is. Okay, I apologize for that. So I'm going to spritz this a little bit with my marker. And of course it never goes right where you need it to go. So I'm going to do a little wild wasabi and a little bit of island indigo. And I think this looks good, but yet still, come on. There we go. I know that my marker is really juicy, so I'm trying not to go too crazy. Okay, but last but not least, well, actually, two things. I need to add my greeting, so I'm going to stamp just a note. This is from, and I hope this fits because I didn't quite stamp it the same as my sample. Perfect. This is from Watercolor Wishes, which is our cool little card kit that we have in the catalog. And then I'm going to take my clear wink of Stella and go right over the wings and just add that shimmer. And I think the shimmer just looks so pretty on this butterfly. And butterflies are already kind of fancy. If you've ever looked at one, the wings are really cool, like under a microscope or something. Here's where my biology degree does actually serve my needs. I do know what butterfly wings look like under the microscope, and it is pretty cool. So anyway, I mean, we've really covered a lot of information in this video. We have stamped, we have embossed, we've decided the embossing looks bad, or at least I did. You might not have, but I did. We've talked about fan mail, which is very cool, and we've talked about Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani. We've talked about poor Miranda Lambert. Oh my gosh. I mean, really, we've covered a lot of topics. And we're going to have a super awesome card at the end. Okay, so I'm going to just push these out of the way a little bit so I can layer this up. So my card here is 3 and, oh dear, 3.5, 3 3/4 by 5. 3 3/4 by 5, final answer. I'm going to mount it onto a 3 5/8 by 5 1/8. Yeah. Okay, I'll mount it to that. And it's just a skinny little strip. Then I'm going to pop this layer up on top of my other 2 layers. So let me tell you what those are. So I've got a half a sheet of Night of Navy, which of course I'm going to, and I can see it's sort of crooked, so I might trim that off, but I will adhere that to a layer of Island Indigo. Now this layer is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That way I get the skinny little strip around the edge. Then I'll adhere these 2 together, and this layer then I will pop up. So between the olive and the Island Indigo, those layers will be popped up. But I think it's just so pretty. I hope you do too. And of course, you know, you got to pop up these cards. I really do like the look of this, and I hope you agree with me that it's pretty cool. And it was really easy. I mean, if you can just kind of swoosh some color on, you're good to go. And if you want to be fancy about it, just color a little darker where the shading lines are. That's really all there is to it. Okay. And if you mess up, spritz it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You can see all the photos on my blog as well as details, including my supplies that I used with links to my online store. And of course, if you order through my online store, you become a Creativity Cave VIP, and I would love to welcome you into my VIP program. I hope you like this card. Thank you so much for your support. If you love it, will you share it? That would mean so much to me. And again, Tracy, thanks for my fan mail. I'm still giddy. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.